This morning, I took a walk. I woke up at 4 o'clock. I couldn't sleep. I was going all of these things saying, oh, I want everything to go so well tonight, and I want everything to be great. And I walked over to the Virginia Theater so I could visit Roger's sculpture. And I sat down in a chair and just talked to him. And I asked him to be with us this weekend and let his spirit, what he created 17 years ago, to continue. I hope that I'm able to help carry it on with everyone. And I just talked to him. And so that's how I started my day. And I think that as I'm standing here, I think he listened.
I thought there was a sort of a beautiful structure to the program this year in the way that certain films followed certain other films. We start out the day with Wild Tales, which is a very high intensity, kind of crazy movie. Like it's got this Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson kind of energy to it. It's audacious.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff, but I've never been in a wedding like this before.
And then we go on to Ida, which is a very quiet, slow, contemplative movie that's almost like kind of cooling us out a little bit.
I take away from this year the breadth of cinema, that you go from Girlhood, a modern French racial charged story, to Son of the Sheik, which was made 100 years earlier. Just the styles of filmmaking that we've seen this year have been really diverse.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Out of all the entertainment options in this universe, I love that you chose a 3D film by Jean-Luc Godard. I think it speaks very well of you.
Now I'm a specialist. I know the festival as if I was born here. Everybody knows everybody here. They're stopping me in front of the theater as if I knew them forever.
It is a small and deeply connected community where everybody feels like family. This is the only film festival that I know of where everybody watches the same movie at the same time in the same venue, and then we all talk about it afterward.
Help me welcome Chazz Palminteri.
We were auditioning with little boys, you know, and it's really hard to find a little boy with really, like you said, chops. It was really good, you know. All of a sudden, one day, this kid walks in, and he goes, "Hey, how you doing, Chazz?" "Oh, Bob." And just before he starts, he goes, "Hey, Bob, you want me to cry or not cry?" I'm telling you what he said, and Bob said, "If you feel like crying, go ahead." You know? And I did the scene with the kid, and the kid was great.
Your mother told me she caught you by the bar today.
I was by the bar.
Tell your father the truth.
I was by the bar.
So why'd you lie?
I took a shot.
And it's just been, for so long and for so many reasons, such a special movie, and I treasure it so much. I'm so proud of it. And to see it tonight on a big screen with a great audience just meant so much to me, and to have Chazz here and all of you, just thank you all for being here.
Usually if you went to a festival, if you programmed something at home, you were with your friends and you said, let's watch 4 movies, they would likely be similar films. They wouldn't all be so radically different. But this is a festival where you can shift gears completely, and people are willing to go with it. They're willing to say, okay, now let's go to this part of the world and this era of filmmaking and this aspect ratio and this style, and we'll go with you. Because the key word for this festival is the trust that Roger has engendered with his fans and with his people. They trusted him, and now they trust us. You want to show us something? I'm going to come take a look at it.
I was saying yesterday, actually, that it's kind of amazing because I think he was my hero when I was 12, and I'm over 40 now, and he's still my hero.
He so consistently got it right about how you were supposed to perceive what you were seeing. That's the inspiration.
You know, he's very
common man view of the movies, although he's deeply knowledgeable about the movies. He tells a review that's useful for just me. I'm just an average guy.
Basically, this is a story that boils down to a guy living one day at a time over and over until he finally gets it right. The film starts out as a comedy and ends up as the sort of fable that Frank Capra might have directed, and it really grew on me.
Harold respected him very much, and out of many, if not all critics, what Roger said really mattered to him about, I would say especially about his films, but about all films.
Siskel and Ebert, watching when I was a kid, I watched with my parents, is sort of when you fall in love with movies. And it's kind of when I realized it's what I wanted to do, watching people talk about movies critically.
You know, he introduced me to so many films I wouldn't have found otherwise, and just helped develop my appetite. And you know, I miss his voice as a critic now, and oftentimes when I go to the movies, I just wonder what he would have said.
This film is such a mystery to me. You know, there are many films, even very good ones, where to see them once is enough. There are many films, to see them once is more than enough. I have seen this film countless times. I am not at the bottom of it. It is like a screen held up to the puzzle of life and death.
He could write about the most complex films, the most deep films. He could write about these films in ways that anyone could understand, that anyone could get excited about, that anyone could want to learn more about. He was simple and profound.
He had a way of being relatable to people and human with people that is unbelievably rare.
It's the kind of movie I like best, in a way, if I had to pick one kind of movie that I really liked, and that it looks very closely and with great attention and sympathy and empathy at particular characters. Because that's the kind of movie that really helps me a little bit to lead somebody else's life for a couple of hours, which I think is very civilizing, because we are all given our own lives, and any sort of art that allows us to empathize with others makes us into larger people and better people.
There's another name in the credits, of course. You don't often see films dedicated to film critics, so why?
I've always felt that his belief in me was more than I believe in myself. And I always feel that with each film I make, I think, would Roger be proud of it? Would it get me one step closer to the things he said about me? You know, so I thought it should be for him.
He was really a good guy, you know, and not only being incredibly brilliant about film, what does it come down to in a man's life? You know, it's either you're a good man or not. He was a good man, and that's really why I'm here.
So I thought, since we didn't have anyone to represent the film, wouldn't it be nice if I could talk to someone that I love to talk to the movies about and talk about them with her all the time? Who better than my wife, Chaz?
I mean, Chaz is saying hello and goodbye to every people in this theater at the beginning and the end of every screening. It's crazy. I thought it was all her family here. It felt like she's giving a lot, and people are giving back.
Seymour was so profoundly moved. He said, this movie is played a few places. He said he's never heard it sound as beautiful as here at the Virginia Theater. And he said at the end of it, it was as if Roger was speaking to him.
I'm really, and so many other people are really grateful that this is continuing, and there's no question he's here with us every minute of every day of this festival. And that's because of you.
I mean, I think that's something that you feel. Like, Roger's not here anymore, but you have 1,500 people in that room, and you have Chaz, who really are keeping his Spirit as a film lover and an advocate for great art alive. So many people in that room, the vast majority of the people in that room, trusted him. He was the person that they would read and they trusted him. If he said see a movie or don't see a movie, they listened to him and they did that. And those people come back year in and year out, and that's something really amazing.
Coming here for the second time with many years in between, I've just been struck that it's the same thing. And the enthusiasm of the audiences is so striking, but it is very much Roger's spirit carrying on. The spirit that he established here is really very tangible.
I like, in general, I like films that create worlds from scratch, that do not participate in generic convention and cliche and formula, where the director envisions a completely new environment or logical rules for his characters and puts them into that, so that as we watch the movie, we are in a different narrative space than we've ever been in before.
Every one of those guys you saw were real guys from the street.
And proof's in the pudding, because I don't remember seeing those faces in other movies.
No, they never been in other movies. Yeah. Well, because they weren't actors. They were like, you know, they would come over to Bob and I and say, hey, Bob, you know, like when you shoot a scene and then you have to come back tomorrow to continue the scene, you're in coverage, so you have to come back. So they would say things like, hey, Bob, you know, I don't know if I can make it tomorrow. You know, I'm supposed to go with my wife to see her mother. What, are you kidding? You gotta be in the movie. You gotta be in the movie. You have to come back. You know, so they would do things, you know, the crap game, when you saw the crap game, Bob he had to use real money. Okay, so at the beginning of the first day, we had $1,200. We passed it out to everybody. Bob said you had to use real money. So at the end of the day, the set guy comes over and says, listen, Bob, we're $400 short. So I have to go to everybody and I say, listen, guys, if we're $400 short, you can't do this, you know. Oh, we're sorry, you know, so I got $200 back, so now we're $200 short. So the next day we shot again and we were $100 short. But they couldn't help themselves. They're thieves, some of these guys. But finally we got all the money back. So.